Good evening. I'd like to call our February the 1st, 2016 regular scheduled commissioner meeting to order. At this time, the invocation will be held by Commissioner Gene McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you please bow with me a minute? Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon all of us. I just now ask that you bless this meeting, that we might make those decisions that would be best for the citizens of Stanley County and most pleasing to you. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre. At this time, you have the agenda in front of you. I would ask for an approval for any adjustments.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Burleson, a second by Commissioner Dennis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our first item is the proclamation declaring February 7th through 13th, 2016 is National FBLA PBL Week, and our presenters is Katrina Sams, and she's the charter president of the state PBL historian of Stanley Community College, and Chase Klontz, the state PBL president of Pfeiffer University.
Good evening. I'm Katrina Sams, president of the Stanley Community College Phi Beta Lambda chapter and historian for the state PBL organization.
And I'm Chase Klontz from the Pfeiffer University PBL chapter, and it's my honor to be serving as state Phi Beta Lambda president this year.
Future Business Leaders of America Phi Beta Lambda is a national organization for college students in business and business-related majors and curriculums.
February is National FBLA PBL Month, and chapters throughout the country are celebrating the opportunities FBLA and PBL make available to high school and college students in business and business-related programs.
On behalf of the FBLA and PBL chapters in Stanley County, we appreciate your signing this proclamation that makes us part of the national celebration.
PBL members from Stanley Community College and Pfeiffer University received awards at last year's FBLA PBL competitive events at the state level.
In turn, all three were represented at the National Leadership Conference in Chicago, with both chapters receiving national recognition.
Our chapter has been busy this year with numerous school and community service projects. We will be competing at the state conferences in April, with state winners heading to Atlanta next June for national competition.
At Stanley Community College, the faculty advisors are Ms. Tammy McElwain, Ms. Merlin Amirtharaj, and Mr. Dan Hazlett, who is serving his 42nd year as an advisor.
At Pfeiffer University, the advisors are Dr. Anna Smith and Dr. Chris Howard. And now I would like to introduce the other representatives of our chapters who are present this evening. With me is Ms. Tori Jackson from Pfeiffer University, and she is our historian.
And with myself, I have Samantha and Courtney here attending from Stanley Community College. As the proclamation includes, we are very proud of the fact that the last 4 recipients of the North Carolina PBL Business Person of the Year Award have been the nominees from Stanley County. This included last year's recipient, Ms. Darlene Webster, who just finished celebrating her 25th year as owner of the Trophy Shop here in Albemarle.
Again, we are proud to represent Stanley County as Phi Beta Lambda state officers, and we thank you for your support through signing this proclamation as we call attention to our organization during National FBLA PBL Month.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, you have the proclamation in front of you. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the proclamation declaring February 7th through the 13th, 2016 as National FBLA PBL Week.
I have a motion by Commissioner Louder and a second by Commissioner Dennis. Any discussion?
Just want to say appreciate what y'all do, Mr. Hazlett. I really appreciate everything y'all do. I know y'all have done a great job even getting the local nominees to become the state champs. And y'all have done a great job with the Business Expo with the Chamber of Commerce for years. Y'all send help out there and stuff like that, and we appreciate everything y'all do.
Commissioner McIntyre.
Yes, I'd just like to note that historically, in I don't know how many years, I guess the 42 that Mr. Hayes has been there, they've always come home with first, second, third places in state competition and very high in the nation. So they're to be complimented, this group as well as past groups. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
At this time, we have a planning and zoning request. Our presenter is Mr. Michael Sandy, Planning Director for Stanley County. Mr. Sandy?
Thank you, Chairman Eford, Board of Commissioners, County Manager. Before you tonight is a request for a zoning amendment, ZA 16-01. It's Mr. David Cuthbertson on behalf of Henry D. and Ruth V. Purser. Request rezoning from RA to R20. The applicant requests to rezone 6.18 acre tract, tax record 32644. The property is located on the southwest corner of Purser Drive and Ridgecrest Road. The purpose of this request is to subdivide the property for residential development. Traffic on this section of Ridgecrest Road has been studied by NCDOT in 2012 and is approximately 1,300 cars per day. Adjacent properties are in Stanley County zoning jurisdiction and are zoned RA residential agricultural. Water is available to proposed lots on Purser Road and sewers along Ridgecrest Road. A change to R20 will allow the minimum lot size to be reduced to 15,000 square feet because water and sewer are available. Proposal is to subdivide the property along the south side of Purser Drive in approximately 14 lots. In RA zoning districts, the minimum lot size is 30,000 square feet. Under RA zoning, this property would accommodate up to 8 lots. The property is not located in a regulated floodplain or in a water supply watershed. Planning staff recommends this request due to the fact that the related requested change is located within a growth area and is in accordance with the Stanley County Land Use Plan. If the development density is increased, it will likely require extension of sewer service to the properties on Purser Drive. The developer will need to present a preliminary subdivision plat for review and approved by the Planning Board. The Planning Board reviewed this case and forwards this to the County Commissioners with an unfavorable recommendation due to the concerns raised by the neighbors regarding the increased density of residences and the loss of rural character in the Ridgecrest community. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sandy? All right, at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone here to speak for the rezoning? Anyone here to speak against the rezoning?
There's someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. 4, come on up.
I can share with you a little bit. I'm just a real estate broker.
All right, come on up and state your name, sir.
My name is Joe Collins. I am hired by the owner of his property. I'm employed by him and also represent the builder here. And I would just like to share just a couple things. I'm sure most of all you know this, but this is the growth areas we understood, and it's the way this property is now on the south side of Purser Drive. You know, it's zoned RA, which allows, if you will, a single wide mobile home, and there's nothing that could stop it based on the county ordinance that could go in there. And that's not what I don't think anybody really wants to do, but we could get 6 of those on this property. We could get 6 double wides on this property, or we could get 6 or 8 homes similar to what's across the street. Tax value increases on that. If this is pulled from the county, if you had 4 single wide lots on there, you'd have a total tax value of about $35,000. 87 based on the county of a 1976 single wide in a lot comparable to this. If you had 4 double wides, you'd have a tax value of about $215,000. If you had 6 double wides, you'd have a tax value of about $320,000. And if you had 14 homes in this category of the homes that's across the street, you'd have a tax value of $2.6 million. It's quite a big difference. And I think it would help the area. There were some things raised last time that there's water issues going down Purser Road. There very well may be water coming down Purser Road, but that won't be changed by the homes. It would only help. Because if they build the homes, pad will be level, and you'll have terracing effect, and that'll slow down some of the water. Sewer will be extended. The homes will be, they'll have restrictive covenants, so they have to be built kind of to match, and I feel comfortable they would be equal to or greater than what you see there on and around that area, in the Ridgecrest area. Does anybody have any questions that I could answer, possibly?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. What size of houses are they talking about?
I don't know exactly, but I would assume, because I'm not really the builder, but I would assume it'd be between 1,500 and 1,800 square feet. There are 1,800 square foot restrictions that have never been recorded on the north side of the road. They're set to be recorded, but they've never been recorded. So as it sits right now, even the other 5 lots or so that aren't built on, you could put a manufactured home on that if you so desired.
One other question regarding the house, or the plans for houses. Do you know if there'll be a slab house, or will there be a cross?
I don't really know. My guess is a slab. I don't really know that. I really don't. But I'm assuming probably slab. And I'm assuming the houses will be in the price range, 180,000 to 220 would be my guess.
And in regard to the sewer line that runs Ridgecrest Road,
It has to be extended in order to qualify for this type of zoning. So it would come up, most likely it would come up just inside the road right away.
so each house would have a sewer connection.
That's exactly right. And across the street, I understand that I think there's 7 lots over there. They were all approved for septic. All those septic tank permits have expired. This would be a benefit for those guys as well. And hopefully it'd be a benefit for the neighborhood, because you're only talking about, if you had the maximum number of lots in the RA zoning that we have now is probably, he said 8. I think we can only get 7. So we're only talking about 7 more homes, 7 more families, 7 more people traveling the roads. Maybe the school can reopen, who knows? So,
All right.
I don't know. I'm probably not with 7 people, but I really don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it's my understanding that there is a deed restriction on the property that does not allow double wides or single wides. Is that-
We can't find it if there, it may be. I can't find it if there is.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, sir.
And it's possible. I mean, I just. if we haven't
Anyone,
researched it.
okay,
Okay.
thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll give him a copy.
Thank you,
and
sir.
have a copy for each
Thank
of
you, thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
we have it. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak for the rezoning? All right, what about anybody here to speak against the rezoning? Come on up. Come on up and state your name.
My name is Albert Brown. I am the sole resident on Purser Drive at the moment. There are 2 houses on Purser Drive. One is vacant and has been vacant since we moved in. I think I have a vested interest in this. I was told that when I bought, that there was a restriction that said the houses built on that street would be 1,800 or larger, that they would be brick-faced, which I have, and that's the other house is brick-faced. I paid over $200,000 for it. Forget the exact figure now, but the house I had was a little bit less than the other house. It was a little bit more. We're talking about putting $100,000 houses in a started neighborhood that was intended for more than that. I have no objection to 6 lots across me. I have a big objection to 12. I grew up on an 80-foot wide lot. I know what it is, and I know what it's not. I appreciate what I have. It's comfortable for us. We like it. The lack of a sewer is a big issue. I think it would be better, it would be very nice if we could get connected to a sewer. That would make me happy. But the quality of life in this area, I like the size of of the property that I have. And I think that the neighborhood, if we're built to that spec, and there were restrictions put in to keep either brick or vinyl and a roof pitch such as we have, would add to the neighborhood. Certainly not detract from it. The problem I see is I'm not going to be around too terribly much longer. I give myself 20, 30 years maybe, if I'm lucky. And I would like something to either have to sell to get something better somewhere else. I don't want to see my property depreciate, which is what will happen if there were double the number of houses on the other side of the street. It just doesn't work that way when that happens. And I think you all as planning commissioners have seen it and understand that. I welcome some new construction. I would like to see the house down the street from me sell. Times were bad. We bought in 2008 and the bottom dropped out of the housing market. Bad time to buy. But we would like to see continued what was laid out to us as being what they wanted for the neighbor, and that was the builder's, Mr. Bost at the time, and I don't know where he or his son is at the moment, but it sounded good to us and we bought into it. So I don't want to see 12 lots across my street. And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
My name is Lewis M. Furr. I'm a lifelong resident of Stanley County, 44-and-a-half-year resident of the Ridgecrest community, other than a few months gone with the Air National Guard here out of Baden, and a couple years while I was building the home I'm in now. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife and her sister. They own the property that is most affected by the water problems. They have lived on, were both raised on that property. They have, I'm going to guess, approximately 1,000 foot of road frontage on a 4-acre tract. I live behind that on land that I have bought. Spent most of my life buying the land that I live on there in Ridgecrest. Me and my wife also own about 8 more acres that adjoins the property that her and her sister own. It's not, our property is not affected by the water runoff, just the property that was my mother-in-law's. When this property was originally sold, it was my understanding that it had a deed restriction of no mobile homes. I believe, if I'm correct, a 4-on-12 roof pitch minimum and 1,800 square foot. The house that's on Purser Drive that my neighbor was alluding to there, that has sat empty so long, is a very nice looking home, about 3/4 to maybe 80% complete. Never seems to have any luck selling it. So I'm wondering, what, I don't see that, according to the realtor here that's representing Mr. Purser, how are they going to be able to sell $200,000 plus dollar homes whenever this person has not, in all this amount of time it's been there, about 7 years roughly, but every time it rains, Ridgecrest Road has water out onto the property. I mean, out onto the state road from runoff off of Purser Drive and also Misty Brook, which is parallel to Purser Drive, and it only has 3 homes on it. I've talked to one of the neighbors there on Misty Brook, and they're very concerned that they were sold the same deal, that there's not going to be anything under 1 acre built on in this property. So they bought not only the 1 acre, they bought themselves another lot, so that and they are Albemarle natives and wanted a little more room. Another thing that I would like to bring up is we're always talking, and you see it in the paper all the time. We wanting to advertise ourselves as Stanley County. We've got all that we have got all this beautiful. You are in Mar Mountain. We welcome all of these bikers, not motorcyclists so much, but your regular bikers. The road that we're talking about is on the North Carolina Scenic Byways, if I understand it right. They do have a lot of bicycle races, rallies, and stuff that come through there. Not only this area, this particular development, I'm opposed to having this lot size anywhere that is not in a city or town in this county. Because what you're doing is you're changing the whole, and I've seen this. I have worked 34 years for a public utility in Mecklenburg County, and when I first went to work there were dairy farmers all over northern Mecklenburg County. You can't find a person who's making a living in agriculture in Mecklenburg County unless they're the Balkums in the nursery business or Metrolina greenhouses. Nobody's tilling the soil and turning a profit. Matter of fact, nobody's really tilling the soil. I don't think we want to see that. It is unrealistic to have that small of a lot out in the county. Also, the road that goes by there is a tar and gravel road. It is not asphalt. It has never been asphalt or concrete. It is your basic road that was built, probably paved in the late 50s or early 60s. I imagine Gareth Smith seated back here can probably tell us when. I can't. But in other words, that road is basically still a farmer, to help a farmer get his products to market and to move a little local traffic. And we're kind of turning a blind eye to what's going on in that development. Now, Mr. Purser, he wants to downsize on his 6.1 acres. Across the road, there's another 5 lots sitting there. If he gets it, they're going to want to. Then there's other land on Misty Brook. So you're going to end up, if you downsize this, they'll come back and downsize the rest. You're going to end up with about roughly 30 houses over there, to be more realistic. If you look at the county records, there's 63 houses on Ridgecrest Road from Red Cross all the way to 5 Points. Fits the 63 houses. If you put 30 more, does that not sound like a disruption to the way of life? I mean, that's another 50% increase just off of one development. The next thing you do, if you lower that lot size, the next person who has a piece of land for sale, you have a tough time not giving them the lot size downgrade. I'd like to show you all the pictures that I have if I could. This is a recent rain that my wife walked over, took some pictures of all the runoff, and it's just this comes down. It comes through the front yard on the land my wife and her sister inherited. comes out onto the state road. I disagree with the realtor who said that changing the land and building more houses was not going to add to the problem. I laid brick 9.5 years. My brother-in-law, sitting back here, laid brick for about 40 years. We know what asphalt shingles are. Metal roofing absorbs 0. We know what concrete. He's poured a lot of it. We know how much water it absorbs. Not a darn drop. It's gonna run off quick. And that's the problem. It ain't the amount of water, it's the speed at which it runs. And we got problems. I mean, we can't stop them from building, but we sure need to not build that small on that small of a lot. It's just unreasonable. And the people who bought originally, it's a disservice to them to downsize the lot, lower their property value. Probably would lower mine over where I live at, but it's not likely to be for sale. I'm planning on the long haul, so when I'm gone, there's nobody to leave it to. So, but I'm not worried that much about that. But I just think it's bad for Stanley County, to be honest with you. We sell ourselves on all this recreational. People from Mecklenburg County and all these places who come here and spend their money in our businesses, buy the tennis shoes, buy the bikes, have the bikes repaired, go to the restaurants, and all that type of stuff. They don't come out here to look at the same thing they got over there. They already looking in their neighbor's window when they look out theirs without even wanting to. So, in closing, I'd just like to say that I'd appreciate it if y'all would vote the same way that Planning and Zoning did, unanimously against downsizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Furr. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Gary Veazey. I live at 24387 Ridgecrest Road, which is just a few lots down from Purser Drive and Misty Brook. We moved out here in 2000. My wife's family is from this area. Her uncle is Gareth Smith that's sitting back behind us. We moved out here in 2000. We didn't want to move to Union County, where all the houses and developments were built so close and so quickly. We wanted to move somewhere where we had a little bit of space. We only own 1.15 acres, I believe, and we built about a 2,300 square foot house on that. And we've got neighbors on either side. My daughter, I have a daughter who's in kindergarten and a son who's in middle school out there. And we stand out on the road waiting for the bus, and I wait out there with her because we have a lot of cars, a lot of students that go to West Stanley High School. New drivers, fairly new drivers, and they tend to go a little bit fast, so I stand out there with her in the mornings. And then we have a neighbor who's got a child that's an infant that's going to be growing up, and then another one who's got 2 children that catch the same bus. So I just think coming from Charlotte to out here wanting this way of life where we're not sitting on top of each other is something that can differentiate us from other counties where you're seeing the big migration from Mecklenburg County. It will differentiate us to where we have a little bit of breathing room out there, and it's just not what we were looking for when we came out there and we bought that land out there. There is a restriction on that land for any mobile home use to be put on there, roof pitch and all that. The land itself was farmland and was terraced. Those terraces have been knocked off, and so you have flow between my neighbor's house, the other neighbor's house. It flows down there. It goes through the ditches and under the driveways and everything, and flows out fine. It just gathers up there. So this is a big problem with water flow coming off there. So I just would ask that you consider this and would vote the same way as the planning board and not pass this. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else?
I'm Curtis Furr, and for the folks in the back, owner and operator of Big Bear Creek Farms. I think I know all of you personally up there. When this land was, before it was put up and sold, I farmed it. Was one of the most productive farms I had. In a good year, I could make 3 bale cotton on it. In this part of the world, if you make 3 bale cotton, you've done pretty doggone good. What I see happening here is if this goes through, then people from Ridgecrest to Red Cross is going to want to do the same thing. They're going to want to sell their land and cover it up with homes. Folks, we need to take a look at trying to preserve our farmland. Several years ago, y'all appointed me to be on a committee to try to get voluntary ag districts. We did. My farm and Doug Bauer's farm on St. Martin Road was the 2 first ones. And what that does, that protects me to be able to farm. It protects me if I spread chicken litter, which I do. I don't have chicken houses, but there's some within a quarter of a mile of this farm. But I help the chicken producer have a place to go with his litter. And that part of the world, I'm going to be the first to tell you, it smells pretty bad once in a while. And that's one thing that protects me, is that I can do it. If any of you's ever by my farm, pull in, and on the grain bin is a sign there that says that I'm a working farm, that it's in a voluntary ag district. I'm able to spread chicken litter. Not exactly. It says I'm able to have odors. I'm able to have spray. I'm able to make noises and dust, and that protects me. And probably if the realtor and everybody would dig deep enough, you'll find that I believe it's within 5 miles of a piece of property that's being sold. The lawyer's supposed to let that person that's buying property know that there's a voluntary ag district in that area. So the biggest problem I have got with it is it's going to mushroom from this. I think if we stick with where it was at, leaving it to the size of lots is there, then I think we can all live there. I just have a problem with people selling pretty farmland. It's my livelihood. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman and board members, I'm Gary Smith, and I live adjacent to this property. Concerning the rezoning of the Purser property in the Ridgecrest community, this is totally out of place in this rural area. This is not what people are looking for in moving to this community and who have already built nice homes here. The people that have already purchased lots and built homes in this community did so hoping to have room between them and their neighbors. There's 950 feet from the highway to the circle on this Purser Drive. Across the street, there's only 8 lots in the same 950 feet. This would create 14 lots in the same 950 feet. The people of the Ridgecrest community cannot see any benefit in this change other than for the people selling the lots and who do not live here. Your own Planning and Zoning Committee unanimously voted not to change this zoning. I hope you will honor their decision, and please ask yourself this question: if I lived in this community, would I be in favor of this change? I urge you to consider the people of this community who pay taxes and live here and not change this zoning to R20, but leave it as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
How y'all tonight? I'm Mark Dyer. I moved out to Substation Road, which is on the back side of Misty Brook. So all those lots are on the other side of that road is all my land. I've got like 9.4 acres that face that property. When I moved out here, I lived in Charlotte, so I know how close people were. And I wanted to get out where everything had some room. So when I found this farm, first thing I did, neighbors brought pies over. And they brought, things over. You didn't meet your neighbors in Charlotte. I lived there 6-7 years. Didn't know that I knew my next door neighbors, but not the ones right down the two houses down. So I moved out here for the peace and quiet. So when I walk out, it used to be a chicken farm. When I walk out, there's the one house that they just built, which is pretty small compared to the other houses. So if they multiply that, it's just going to be rooftops. You're going to walk out and just see a bunch of rooftops. I could have stayed in Charlotte for that. It's so peaceful out there. I know y'all probably lived around here for a while, but I haven't. And it's such a joy to be able to come out there. And Christmas time, you get to see your neighbors and meet with them, and you're losing that kind of thing. So I just want to tell y'all that, where we live, I'd like to keep it the way it is for a while. I didn't tear my house down. It's a 1,200 square foot farmhouse. And they said, oh, you could tear that down and build you a real fine one in the back. Well, I like it just the way it is. I like to keep it the way it is. So maybe y'all could, find it in your hearts to keep it the way it is, and maybe put this somewhere else. Maybe it'll fit in better somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question, I guess, before any.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding, and you correct me, Mr. Sandy, currently the way this subdivision is drawn up, it allows for 8 lots for single-family residents.
Well, based on the acreage and 30,000 square foot minimum, we're estimating about 8 lots.
And what they're asking for is 14 lots, is that correct?
The sketch plan we have received is showing 14 lots.
Okay, but the zoning size of residential lots in the county is what square footage?
RA zoning allows for 30,000 square feet, which is about 7/10 of an acre, unless you're in the watershed supply district, which is 40,000, which is about 93/100 of an acre.
Okay. I'll make a statement. I am for pro-growth. There's water and sewer lines out there that need to be utilized. We need houses in this county that will produce tax money that will allow funding for our schools, funding for other things that we need in this county. County population during the last census grew by maybe 15 people, which is not much. We will see growth from Mecklenburg County and surrounding counties. I see what the neighbors say. I don't think y'all would mind if there were 8 houses there, but what I'm hearing is that you don't want to see 14 or more houses there. That's what I'm hearing. Before coming to this meeting tonight and hearing you, I was going to make a motion that we approve the zoning, but I also hear what you're saying, and I would love to see 8 houses built in that community on those lots. But after hearing the presentation of the neighbors, and I don't think y'all would have a problem with 8 houses. That's what the nods I'm getting. But you don't want 14. So that's my statement. I'm not going to make a motion at this time.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we deny this request and go along with what the planning board has presented.
I second it.
Wait a minute. I have a motion on the floor by Mr. McIntyre and second by Commissioner Dennis. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate y'all's concerns and stuff. I'm probably going to vote against the motion. I mean, we turned down, back in the spring, an apartment complex in Albemarle that was gonna bring about $47,000 a year worth of income. And, Stanley County needs to grow. We need the tax base. We're in no one wants to raise taxes, so you either gotta cut services or you gotta have growth. And I'm just for growth.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
a $200,000 house does not bring in enough property tax to support one student in a school. I'd just like to make that statement. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I guess you're ready to vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Yeah, if you guys want to get up, I don't know if you want to stay for the rest of it, but you're more than welcome to, but I'll take it just a minute if you guys want to leave. Mr. Sandy's coming up for planning board appointments, and thank you very much for coming. I think we can go ahead.
Ready?
Mr. Sandy?
Okay, thank you. Next item we have is the planning board appointments. Planning board is a 7-member board. Currently, 2 members are eligible to be reappointed to terms beginning in February of 2015 and ending in February of 18. That's Robert Laughlin, Bob Davis. 2 members are eligible to be reappointed to terms beginning in February of 2016 and running through February of 2019, which are Terry Smith and Joseph Burleson. 2 additional new appointees are needed. We have noted that Dr. John Eggman and Kevin Brickman have indicated their willingness to serve, and I believe you have another list of applicants that have expressed interest in serving on the planning board with your packets, but those 2 members are currently serving on our Board of Adjustment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Burleson.
I would like to request that my name be removed from the list for consideration, and in place of that, Alan McGuire be placed in there, and make a motion to appoint Mr. Robert Laughlin, reappoint Mr. Robert Laughlin, Mr. Robert Davis, Terry Smith, Alan McGuire, Dr. John Eckman, and Mr. Kevin Brickman to the planning board.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Can we break this out somehow? Because I have another nomination to replace Commissioner Burleson, and I'd like to be able to do it. I think how do we do that? Because if you have everybody on a blanket one, you can't do that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know who Commissioner Ashuto has in mind, but I'd like to see this broken out and we take it individually, A, B, C, D, and given the opportunity for anyone on the board to nominate.
Okay. Let's go, we'll start with A.
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion and a second on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. You're right. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Wait a minute. Would you restate the motion? Gene's motion.
The motion on the floor is to reappoint Mr. Laughlin, Mr. Davis,
Right.
Mr. Smith, and Mr. McGuire,
Right.
Mr. Brickman, and Dr. Eggman
Right.
to the current list of planning board.
Right. Okay. My
Okay.
vote's no.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. 2, no? No. Okay, that motion fails. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we elect Robert Laughlin with a term ending on February 2018.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on appointing Mr. Laughlin? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Robert Davis with a term ending February 2018.
I have a motion on the floor, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That motion carries also.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that Terry Smith be nominated with a term ending in 2019.
I have a motion and a second for Mr. Smith being appointed. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That motion also carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to nominate Frank Sparger to the term ending in 2019.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would say with my experience serving on this board and things such as what we just saw this evening, we need to make sure we've got some folks who understand the zoning process very well. I think Mr. Sandy has some stuff that he's wanting to do here coming up in the next few months to look at some of our zoning. So I think Mr. Sparger is a fine guy. I think Alan McGuire being an architect and his service, I think he served on the Oakboro Planning Board before. I think he understands that stuff very well. Just like to make that statement.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if I may make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
In nominating Mr. Sparger, and he certainly has the degree and he has a master. He has been a contributing member of this community for many years now. We have had a volunteer application on him since March of 2014. And with the population of our county, I'd really like to be able to say everybody who wants to serve on a committee will have an opportunity, but that's just not the case. And Mr. Sparger has committed to this, and he's an intelligent individual, and I'm sure that he will have no problem whatsoever learning and fulfilling the responsibility of this seat as a member of the board. Thank you.
Anyone else? All those for Mr. Sparger say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries 5-2.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Kevin Brickman to serve with a term ending February 2018.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that Dr. John Ekman III serve a term ending February 2019.
I have a motion on the floor for Dr. Ekman, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion also carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say those that have been reappointed, we want to thank them for their service and their willingness to continue their service.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Sandy, I think you have Board of Adjustment appointment, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you. Board of Adjustments, a 9-member board consisting of 7 regular members and 2 alternates. 4 current members have terms which have expired. Jennifer Lisk, Devron Furr are current alternates and may be appointed to fulfill the regular positions on the board. Mr. Marvin Smith and Billy Franklin Lee have indicated their willingness to serve on the Board of Adjustment, and they come from our planning board. Expired.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
we just went through that, and we didn't approve all of them in the other one, and now there's a motion to approve all of these without going one by one. And I don't have a problem with approving them, but I don't know what we just went through. As a point of order, I don't know why we couldn't have done what we did in the first place. And if you didn't want Mr. McGuire, just say, let's approve them all and replace Joseph with Al Sparger. That doesn't make any sense. We just wasted precious time, as far as I'm concerned, but that's just my statement.
Thanks, sir. I have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't address the 2 additional appointments for the alternate positions. Do we need to lay that over? Because I'm getting confused.
That was part of the request, was to appoint Jennifer Lisk and Devron Furr as from alternate members to regular membership.
Do you need to,
But we do still need 2 alternates.
do you have enough,
I'm not sure what applicants have submitted as of today. I think there were some submitted even as of today. But we still do need 2 alternates for Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we table this.
I have a motion we table the,
Alternates
field
until
it.
we have specified applications stating they would like to serve as alternates.
all right, I have a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. At this time, the tax administrator, our presenter is Mr. Clinton Swearingen. Clinton, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Eford, and board members. I'm here tonight to discuss unpaid real property taxes, which are liens on real property. According to North Carolina General Statute 105-369A, the tax collector must report to the governing body the total amount of unpaid taxes for the current fiscal year that are liens on the real property. Upon receipt of the report, the governing body must order the tax collector to advertise the tax liens, and by statute, those liens have to be advertised between March 1st and June 30th. So as of January 26th of this year, the total amount of unpaid county real property taxes for the current fiscal year 15-16 that are liens on real property amount to $2,125,712.99. Upon order by the Board of Commissioners, these tax liens will be advertised in March 2016, and the stated amount will be reduced as the collections office continues to accept payments. Delinquent notices are scheduled to be mailed early this month in February in an effort to collect these taxes, and I've attached the report for your viewing. Just to give you some comparison, the last year, this same time, when I was here in February, the amount was $2,202,092.97. So we've actually decreased that amount by $76,379.98 since last year, which I think is excellent. We're moving in the right direction. I'll be
Thanks,
happy
sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Burleson.
I'd like to make a motion to order the tax administrator to advertise these tax liens.
I have a motion, Commissioner Burleson, and a second, Commissioner Dennis. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Board.
Next, we have some board and committee appointments. Our first one is Senior Service Advisory Board, and our presenter is Becky Wimhoff. Hey, Becky.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. The Senior Services Advisory Board has a vacancy on its board, and that was resulted from when our board member and chairman, Dr. Nolan Mehta, moved out of the county. At our last board meeting in January, we reviewed the volunteer applications we had some discussion, and the board voted unanimously to recommend to you tonight for appointment to the board Dr. J.C. Boone. Dr. Boone is an active volunteer at the Senior Center. He's been a past president of Friends of the Senior Center. He's home delivered meals for a number of years, and I know he's also active in the community and in his church. So I respectfully request that you appoint him to our advisory board to fill Dr. Nolan Mehta's term, and Dr. Boone's term would expire October 30th, 2017.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
I have known Dr. Boone for probably close to 40 years, and I think he'd be an excellent addition to our board. And I would make the motion that we approve Dr. J.C. Boone as our new member. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion and a second by Commissioner Dennis. Any more discussion? Any questions for Ms. Wimhoff? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Stanley Community College Board of Trustees, and our presenter is County Manager Andy Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have a letter in your packet from Dr. Anita Owens Scott. resigning from the Board of Trustees due to personal reasons. That will be effective actually today. You actually have a list of applicants in your packet, and then whoever you appoint will fulfill the unexpired term of Dr. Anita Owen Scott, which will then expire on June 30th, 2018. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, you've had a chance to look over the applications.
I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Daisy Washington.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve Miss Daisy Washington. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries 5-2. Next one is the Aquadale Volunteer Firefighters Relief Fund appointees, and our presenter again is County Manager Andy Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is from the Aquadale Volunteer Fire Department, as you've stated, based on their bylaws, two positions on their firefighter relief fund, which essentially is a fund that they use in cases where one of their own members is injured or something happens to them. They will disperse funds to assist that individual. But based on their bylaws, a county commissioner appoints 2 members to that 5-member board. The other 2 are other 3. 2 are appointed by the Volunteer Fire Department itself, and then 1 is appointed by the insurance commissioner. So they have asked, or there's a request in here for Varen Crump, their department administrator, to be appointed by the county commissioners to the term that's expiring for Mr. Melvin Earl Simpson. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
We just have the one for the 2.
That's correct. You just have one of the other one doesn't expire till next year.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd make the motion to appoint Mr. Varen Crump in this position as stated.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion for Mr. Crump and a second by Commissioner Burleson. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item is the Sheriff's Office 2015 review, and our presenter is Sheriff George T. Burris. Sheriff, welcome.
Chairman Eford, Commissioners, appreciate y'all letting me come by, speak to you a little bit about what the Sheriff's Office did in 2015, how we've made a lot of advancements in technology and enforcement and protecting the security and safety of our citizens of Stanley County. A few programs and projects we started up in 2015 I'm very proud of. You know, we always say a good manager will tell somebody what to do, but a good leader will show them how to do it. And that's one thing I try to pride myself on, is getting in the ditches and working with these men and women in the Sheriff's Office and leading by example. So some of the programs I've initiated in 2015 is Explorers Program for children and kids, young kids from 14 to 21. We've really tried to get this back on board. It helps these kids come in and see what law enforcement's about once a month. Hopefully they'll get an interest in law enforcement, want to go into that after 21 and be a part of that. Just in January, we had our open house. We had 15 young people come out for that. I'm very proud of that. The instructors is helping out, and we try to partner with Albemarle Police Department and Chief Bowen on that. Also, we started a segment. It's the first and third Wednesday of every month on WSPC, 10 a.m. I go by every Wednesday morning and share statistics, community events, Sheriff's Office business and concerns for our citizens every other week for our county to know what's going on in their Sheriff's Office, to keep them updated. We also started a Sheriff's Office Facebook page which shares information on arrest, public information, committees, everything we got going on. We want our citizens to be aware of what they're getting. And also we started last year our church awareness security meeting, and I plan on doing another one this year. Last year we did it, mid-year we had 135 folks show up here over 50 churches were represented. I got to share a program with them and have some instructors and key personnel here to speak with our church leaders. Over the past seven months, we've had multiple churches call the office, and I've sent deputies and captains out to view the churches, to check security, check doors and windows, to keep our churches and our personnel as safe as we can. Also, I initiated a sheriff's quarterly meeting. I reached out to all the surrounding county sheriffs because the relationship was bad in past years. And over the past year, we've met every quarter with approximately 6 sheriffs from all around us, from Stanley, Mecklenburg, Rowan, Montgomery, Anson, Rowan, and Cabarrus. I'm very proud of doing that, and this gave us a chance to come together as sheriff and talk about what's going on at our county borders, because a lot of things happen in Union County that come to Stanley. Well, now we share information, and we each have our county do it. So I took the first month. The next quarter, we went to another county, and so on. It's a good thing to be in efforts with our other sheriffs around us, because I just got a MOU this morning from Sheriff Rowley in Cabarrus County on board with us that any assistance we need for anything as far as his bomb squad, tactical squad goes, they're on board. That's a big key for us being a smaller county, having Cabarrus and Mecklenburg, Rowan, and Union on our side. It just shows good camaraderie with our other sheriffs. Also, I started back community watch programs this past year. We've already had 2 sections of our county sign up, one in the southern region, one in the northern region. We've got over 42 people participating in this community watch. That is very impressive. We helped them get signs through DOT. We've got them stickers for their mailboxes. People know now when they go in that community that if they do something or they see a suspicious car, they're going to call the sheriff's office. So we're trying to reach out more with our community efforts. Also, I spearheaded, we do a quarterly chiefs meeting, and that's where I meet with all our municipalities throughout the county. And we have a quarterly meeting with all the chiefs, and I share any information we've got with the sheriff's office as far as intel or anything we need to do and help to come together, and the chiefs share information that they have from Locust, Oakburg, Stanfield, Milesheimer, Norwood, all municipalities. That's been a great tool for our county to get our chiefs together and all of us working together, and that wasn't like that in past years. So we've got a lot of good programs coming up. And also this year, March 17th, we're starting a Stanley County Sheriff's Office Citizens Academy. This will be a 7-week program where average citizens get to come in and see what law enforcement does on a daily basis. We'll show them canine demonstrations, drugs, narcotics, taser, all this felony stops, anything, crime scene, to give the public a good chance to see firsthand what's going on. We still have about 5 spots open. We're going to take 25 applicants. We've got approximately 20 right now, so if nobody interested, tell them to come by the sheriff's office and fill out an application. Now, getting to some of our stats, I'll make this quick because I know y'all, it's a busy night. I had each of my captains get me a list on things they've done in their respective divisions. And just to read some of the numbers, it's very impressive the way these folks have come together as a team this first year under new administration. And it's been one of the best first years of any sheriff in this county. Our jail has really stepped up. Captain Bradford is doing an excellent job, and our detention officers, as of 2014, they booked in 2,140 inmates. In 15, we booked in 2,648 inmates, a 508 difference. We booked out and released 2,643 compared to 2,171. So that's a 980 person difference of inmates the jail has had to handle over the past year, more than previous. We've served over 86,000 meals in the jail last year. And we also help cook and maintain Anson counties by they paying us. We have an average of last year of 92 inmates in our detention center. The year before that, we averaged 74. So the detention center is working hard. They're doing a great job, and that's a backbone of our agency, them folks down there. And to brag on Captain Bradford, our state fees and our state misdemeanor confinement program we get is money, is revenue that we get from the jail. In 2014, they brought in $91,851.13. In 2015, $161,543.20. I say almost total of $70,000 more that we brought in this previous year. So if we take our county fees, our monitoring fees, our reimbursement, canteen profits, in 2014 they brought in a total of $137,880.18. In 2015, We brought in $229,352.10, a difference of over $91,000. It's all about leadership and the proper people in the right places. And each of y'all, being businessmen and businesswomen, know exactly what I'm talking about there. Everybody wants to brag and say, Sheriff, you're doing a great job, but y'all know how it is. It's the people around you that make you successful, and we couldn't do it at the detention center. And also, the bailiffs kind of get lost in a lot of things because they're up in the courthouse, but I had Sergeant Howell make me a list of some of the things they did. In the courts and the bailiffs, we have 5 full-time bailiffs and several part-time. Well, they're understaffed and underpaid. But all together, they came together as a team, and they managed over 459 courts in 2015. That's 222 days of district, 71 days of superior, 131 days of civil, 10 days of civil superior, and administrative court 25 days. 38 more days of court in 2014. They're working hard. They're even serving subpoenas. They're serving warrants. They're doing inmate transports. They even help out with patrol. If they're short, they'll go out there and answer a call for them. So I commend Sergeant Howell and all the bailiffs. And so if you go in the courthouse and you see some of these great bailiffs up there, please give them a pat on the back because they're doing a great job. And some of the things they help prevent enter our courthouse, because I'm over the security and I take it very seriously, they prevented 628 knives from coming in, 250 other dangerous weapons, and 2 handguns. Now, when you look at the safety of our judges, of our DAs, of our citizens, of our taxpayers, of our clerk, tax office, this is very important to keeping us safe. If one of these go wrong, you get in that courthouse, it could be catastrophic. So I give Sergeant Howell a great pat on the back. In our civil division, you know, I got 2 civil officers, but they work as hard as any of them. And then count them in patrol, they served almost 7,600 papers in 2015. That's civil process. They served over 2,500 subpoenas, 167 domestic violence protective orders, 185 findings and custody orders, 198 writs of execution, and 152 writ of real property. These guys stayed on the roads, working hard, and doing a great job for Stanley County. And on top of that, our monies on writs and executions totaled almost $26,000 brought in, and their monies collected for civil process service fee totaled approximately $122,000. So that's revenue that they're making for Stanley County that goes into the general fund. And now our detective division. The detectives have been working hard and solving cases and locking people up, and people say, well, your jail is higher and this and this. Well, we're locking people up. You come to Stanley County now and you do wrong, we got 5 great investigators that's going to be after you. But just some quick statistics. Our violent crimes reported went down 29%. Our reported property crimes went down 3%. Our fraud cases and identity cases went up because they know they can't come in here and do the crimes like that, so now they're getting on the internet and they're stealing identities, they're doing fraud and investigations. But luckily, our fraud arrest went up 63%. So that means that our detectives are working, they're committing them, but we're locking them up for doing it. And our total crime reporting went up 29%. Now here's some good stats to take with you. Our violent crime arrest went down 13% because there's less. Our property crime arrest went up 22% because we've locked more up. Our drug and narcotics arrest, and I'm very proud of this, went up 37% over last year. And here's the key. It's not rocket science. 2014 was an election year. That should have been the biggest year at the sheriff's office. But this first year, these men and women have stepped up and went above and beyond what they could have done or should have done in a campaign year. And our total arrest percentage went up 43%. Now you're saying there's more crime and there's more of this. No, there's less crime, but the guys are catching them. They're doing patrol, they're getting out there, they're being seen, and I have more citizens applaud these guys more than ever about being seen in their communities. I make them stay in their zones, they eat in their zones, they get the oil changed in their zones, they do their car maintenance in their zones. It's all about being in our communities and our citizens because we work for them. And finally, our patrol division. You know, when we come in, we had four zones, and I didn't say that because we had personnel stretched thin, and we're already short on patrol. So I changed it to make 3 zones and put 2 people in In the north zone, 2 people in the west, and 2 people, one person in the south, and then a floater for the supervisor. And this has worked out tremendous. Our response time is less, but our call volume and self-initiated reports has went up. Our calls for service increased to 152. Our self-initiated actions, now this is where the guys take it upon themselves to either do a security check for a church or a business, a checkpoint stand out in the road, anything self-initiated or checkpoints. It went up to 3,710, and it went up 36%, because I believe in letting the men and women of the Sheriff's Office do their jobs. When the folks elected me of Stanley County, I swore upon the Bible that I would uphold all the laws of North Carolina. I don't pick which ones they're going to enforce. So that's the good thing for me, is I work for the great citizens and voters of Stanley County, and as long as they're happy, I'm happy. And in turn, y'all should be happy. And it says our traffic stops. Yes, I'm into traffic stops, but out of all the citations we wrote, we only wrote citation on 22% of the stops. So they're using discretion, but the average speed that we wrote a citation was 20 plus miles per hour over the posted speed limit. So ladies and gentlemen, if somebody comes through doing 75 and it's a 55, I'm going to write them a speeding ticket. I pulled one over a month and a half ago. I was on my way working. I got a guy in 82 and a 45. I charged him careless and reckless, 82 and a 45, and I found an ounce of marijuana on him. That's just the way it's going to be. But through these traffic stops, through these checkpoints, we found multiple felons. We've locked up multiple people on B&Es, because if they're committing a B&E, 99% of the time they're going to drive away. They're not going to carry TVs on their backs. We've locked up multiple people on B&Es and solved multiple breaking and entering cases. So the guys have done great. And here's something that we're very pleased. We've worked wonderful with other agencies and Highway Patrol. In 2014, the whole year, the Sheriff's Office had 3 arrests on DWIs. Just 3 DWI arrests. In 2015, they had 25. So we're getting drunks off the road, we're getting drugs off the road, we're recovering stolen property, we're locking up felons. It's working. And I can't thank Captain Thomas and the other guys and girls enough. And also, to keep our canines in, we provide a canine assistant to 81 separate occasions outside of the Sheriff's Office. So if any of these chiefs need help and they call, we're going to be there. But our canines helped 81 times throughout 2015 to other agencies beside the Sheriff's Office. And our canines assisted, counting the county, counting Highway Patrol and our other agencies, 400 times. So if you take what we've got, an average of 6 persons on patrol, and the amount of work they're doing, you take an average of 6 in the detention center, and all the work they're doing, an average of 5 in the courthouse and what they're doing, it is awesome for our Sheriff's Office and where it's came to. But I want to give a big pat on the back and a big thank you to our deputies, our resource officers in our schools that's finding drugs, that's keeping our students and faculty safe. Everybody we work with is making a true difference. And on top of that, we had over 4,800 training hours in 2015. I'm very big on training and education. I believe we need to reward these folks for doing that. But we had over 4,800 hours. So it's amazing to me at some agencies that's bigger, and we're doing more because we have a great staff. And we have a Sheriff's Office for you all to be very proud of. We have a Sheriff's Office for this county to be very proud of. And I've told them in sheriff's conferences and meetings with 75 other sheriffs, even though I'm only a 104-person agency, I would put my office against any of them throughout the state because I've got the statistics to show it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all that you do for the county. I know it's hard sitting there making decisions that's impacting lives throughout our county, but when it comes to public safety and our safety of our kids, families, that's my top priority. So if you see one of these deputies, please thank them for the service they do, and they are very much appreciative and appreciate the time to serve this county and serve you all. Any questions, comments?
Questions for Sheriff?
Just a comment, Sheriff Burris. I appreciate what you and your deputies are doing to keep our county safe, and thank you for sharing the information you shared with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lawon.
I just ditto that. Thank you for all you do. It's dangerous and very time consuming, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sheriff, I would tell you one comment. I go to church in a rural part of the county, and I pulled up one Saturday afternoon, and sheriff's car was back in the back part of the cemetery, and I thought, what in the world is he doing back there? But he was letting his canine run, and I appreciate you can let him run anytime you want to. Thank you for being there. I appreciate your presence, and I appreciate what you did for the church. You know, the meeting that you had with all the churches, that was a great turnout, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And if anybody asks, we're gonna have another one this year, because with that kind of response, we gotta make sure we keep top priorities our kids, and seconds our churches and our members, because, you know, that's us. That's Stanley County. And it's like these folks talked about, when people move here, they move here for that small county mentality. And that's why I try to be out and have my deputies out, because I want them to know who's working for them, just like y'all do. So thank y'all for the kind remarks. I will relay this to the deputies at the sheriff's office. And please, like I've always said, if y'all ever want to stop by and visit, my door's always open. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Number 6, the Blackboard Connect automated phone messaging system. Our presenter is Commissioner Sciutto.
No, I just had a lot of questions in the last week or so. I know Commissioner McIntyre utilized the Blackboard Connect program to advertise the public hearings that were put together by the school board, not by the county commissioners. And I just want to see what kind of guidelines we have, because some people, you know, usually that's been used for emergency purposes. And a lot of them, people were surprised that 3 hours before a major storm came in, that it was an announcement for a school board meeting about school closings. And, you know, I don't know if we've ever used that to advertise any public hearings that the Stanley County commissioners have put together. And I just wonder what kind of guidelines we have, or what we should do, because it seems like any commissioner can up there and do whatever he wants on it under the current guidelines.
Yes, sir.
We don't have specific guidelines. I think that generally we've used it to communicate information during emergency responses, utility breaks. Public health departments use it on a few occasions when there's been specific information that they need to get out urgently to the public. We did use it during for the sales tax referendum, which was in 2014. And then, you know, obviously we used it last week a few times for those public hearings. So there's no specific, you know, information. You know, when we did the sales tax and then when the public hearings were announced, it was just general information. There wasn't any political statements made or advocacy for or against the sales tax, or for or against whatever the public hearings were for the school system. It was just simply when, where, and what time it was. And sales tax was really about that it's on the ballot and that you have an opportunity to vote for it, and how it was going to be used. And so based on the commissioner's resolution. So that's been, you know, if the board wants to change that and wants to be more specific, or, you know, certainly we're open to that. Or if you want to charge us with coming back, you know, I generally think, you know, the municipalities in our community use it too, and they use it for things like leaf pickup and, you know, when garbage, if the garbage is going to change from one day to another because of a storm. So that, I think they use it for a lot more general information than we've used it in the past. So we're certainly open to it, but that's basically been, you know, we primarily have used it to communicate emergency information.
Yeah, perhaps we need to talk about this more at the retreat, or maybe you can look into it to see if there's any other policies. Because personally, I don't know why we don't advertise public hearings that we hold, and why we were advertising a public hearing that the school board was holding. I don't know if the school board requested us to or what, but it just seems like it wasn't quite the proper protocol to do so. And you know, I appreciate Commissioner McIntyre getting the word out there, but the way the message was sent, it almost sounded like the county commissioners were holding the meeting and not the school board. So, I mean, Commissioner Dennis just said perhaps we could talk about this more at our retreat.
As in the debates for president, my name was mentioned, so I'd like to come in and comment, please. First of all, we didn't do anything. I did. All I did was say, this is Commissioner McIntyre. and I am a commissioner. I get called that without my last name. So no reason why we can't use this, and we should use it for public hearings in the areas that's affected, or it affects the whole county. And so, Commissioner Shudo, are you saying that you don't think education in Stanley County is important enough to warrant a public service announcement? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, of course it's important. But my question is,
What's the problem?
The problem is that was a public hearing held by the school board, and so us as commissioners, we could use this however we want.
Now, I didn't say that. You said it.
No, that's what I'm wondering with you. You wanted to do that, and I understand education is important, but all of a sudden, we had people who were just wondering, even school board members, why are the county commissioners doing this, or county commissioner doing it? I guess what you're saying is any of us can go on there and talk for any reason. I guess since we don't have a policy.
As long as it's a public service announcement, I didn't say anything except what the meeting was about, where it was going to be, and what time, and that's all I did.
Okay, gentlemen.
So I guess we're gonna just talk about this later, or just let it go and just not have a policy, and anyone can use it.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that our county manager and legal staff work on putting a potential policy together for the use of this particular system.
Thank you, sir. Number 7, our consent agenda. They are one correction in our consent agenda. I would ask for it to be approved with one correction on page 2.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Everyone that's signed up for a public comment period has spoke. Oh, I'm sorry.
Appreciate you taking the last few minutes for me to speak. I'm Billy Mills. I live at 401 Brenda Drive in Albemarle. For the last 30 years, I have coached and been a teacher in Roy and Salisbury schools. And I was always proud to tell the people that I was from Albemarle. I have continued to live here, even as I've gone up and down the road. You know, in Salisbury, this town is highly respected and is highly revered. And one of the reasons this town is looked at that way is because of its association with Albemarle High School. Regardless of how you feel about consolidation, Albemarle High School has defined this city. We've posted Bulldog signs advertising Albemarle, home of winners, home of champions, on every single city limit sign. Each Friday night, our city stood proud as we were marketed as winners throughout the whole state of North Carolina. WSOC, all the sports channels, how much is that worth to see this town as being a town of winners? Teachers and families will relocate to neighborhoods outside of the school system. They will go to businesses that serve whatever school that student attends. Our children will not be able to walk or carpool to Albemarle Stanley County YMCA. They'll not be able to participate in the Albemarle City recreation youth activities unless they have a mom or a dad that can get off of work and go pick them up. On teachers' work days, I had 30 minutes to go eat lunch. 30 minutes, you can't go very far, so I'm going to the nearest place to grab a bite to eat. If Albemarle closes its doors, where are the teachers going to go? Groceries and supplies that were purchased by the classes and the school will no longer be purchased in Albemarle City. Family and consumer, I taught shop. I had some very expensive supplies. If I taught at North Stanley, I'll probably go to Salisbury and get my supplies. I doubt if I'd go to Lowe's. I might. But a lot of the supplies are going to be bought elsewhere. High school sport and events 5 and 6 times per week will no longer exist in this city. Visiting teams and families will no longer come here for games. Our Chamber of Commerce motto, shop local, but it should read, buy your house and educate your kids elsewhere. Because our neighborhoods in Albemarle are going to be split right down the middle. I grew up on Smith Street. The dividing line was Smith Street. This side went to Central, this side went to East Albemarle. I was the president of East Albemarle Elementary School during desegregation. My friends that I grew up with, right there's one of them, lived on the other side. He would have went to one elementary school, I would have went to the other. This school, Albemarle High School, for many years has been a pillar of this community, and it is the glue and the bond for this city. If we close this school, we are going to close neighborhoods down. Close them down. I wish Toby Webb was still here. Some of y'all knew him. He ran the school system with 2 secretaries. His office was right behind Albemarle Middle School, what is Central now. Had 2 secretaries, and he used to stand on the front porch. And when we would start to leave school, he'd say, "Where are you boys going?" I'm going to give you some facts here. The reason I told you that was for this reason. In 18 months, from 2013 to 2015, Albemarle High School lost 19 teachers. They only have 33. They said it was because of administrative reasoning. Ladies and gentlemen, the kids that are coming to Albemarle High School, a lot of them only have one parent. Those teachers are the mom and dad to those young people. I know, I see them. There's been so many times that practice is over. And my kids come from Salisbury. Some of them have a plywood front door. I've gone in some of them, they had a dirt floor inside of them. I said, "Derek, what are you still doing here, man? The practice was over 2 hours ago." He said, "I don't want to go home. I want to stay here with my friends." This new administration that's at Albemarle High School had made a commitment. These young people need stability, constructive stability, consistency. They've got to have that because they don't get it at home. They come to the school, we feed them. And when you hear this, Title I, and please hear me on this. I don't know how many are you familiar with Title I. The federal government gives us money. According to how many free lunches and reduced lunches a school has. And you say, "Well, big deal, it's not much money." It's $592 per child. Albemarle High School gets 0. And here's the reason. Our administration is allowed to choose how the money, and you're going to hear about this in the upcoming days, how the money is distributed. You get to choose. You can either rate them according to need, and Albemarle High School is right at 70%. They're the 4th highest in the county. They receive 0. They have 400 students. $592 per student. Y'all, that's $250,000 that Albemarle High School is not receiving. This is public. I've been on the phone with the person that disperses the federal monies to the state of North Carolina, and she said, "This is the way you're doing it. It's through grade span." Our system disperses Title I funds through grade span. So therefore, South Stanley gets none, not unless you're 75% or over. If you're 75% or over with free and reduced lunches, you automatically get it. They can't keep it away. But see, Albemarle's only 4 or 5 points away, and they get 0. And they've not received this, not just this year, but for several years. Why? I don't understand that. Here's some solutions, and you're gonna need some. The Air Force ROTC is chomping at the bit to get in Albemarle High School. Chomping at the bit. And if you're not familiar with the ROTC program, you get 2 instructors. If you have 50 students, 2 instructors. They're retired military personnel. The federal government pays half of their salary. We only pay half. We get 2 instructors, and it's a history credit. They receive a history credit by being in ROTC. But look at this. My wife works in Randolph County at the community college. One of the schools in High Point just started this program. They have a 100-person waiting list to get in. We don't have enough students? Let's pull them in. We can pull students in from other counties. The Air Force ROTC will do this. They provide all the uniforms. $500 is the expense from the federal government. Y'all, this is our taxes that can come into our county. Why are we not getting the Title I money? For the life of me, I can't understand that. But going back to ROTC is a program that will give that child a career. They're not obligated. Or they can go to college with it. They can go in at a higher rank. And I have one, I still coach. I missed one of my meetings tonight. Our best runner went in the Marines through ROTC. Y'all, these young people are a passion. I know you're going to be bombarded, and bless your heart, I know you lose a lot of sleep over it, because I know people talk and we've got to keep these young people together in Albemarle. I grew up here. And I beg you, if there's any way, if you can, any way, and I've been here all my life, almost 60 years, if there's any way that you can keep Albemarle High School from closing, I beg you, please do. And there are options. Another one thing, and then I'm going to hush. Our churches have said that they will adopt Albemarle High School. They will adopt the students. How can you beat that, to have a mentor that goes into school? They're not teaching them religion. By the way, you can get a Bible history class, but they're not teaching doctrine, and it counts as a history. They're not there preaching at the students. It's literal history. But our churches will adopt the young people at Albemarle High School. We have options. This is going to have a happy ending. This is going to have a happy ending. Right here, this is going to have a happy ending, and it's going to be with you guys. Y'all are going to solve this right here in Stanley County. Thank you.
Board comments, announcements, committee report. Commissioner Shudo.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I, called out to Morrill Mountain State Park to talk to Gray Schneider, the park ranger out there, the head guy, and he got transferred, so he's over at Lake Norman now. And I just want to give him a shout out. He did a great job while he was here. He did a great job during that time when we had that microburst and it kind of decimated, and lost a lot of weight using that chainsaw. So we wish Greg Schneider a lot of luck out there. A couple things on the sales tax. It was interesting. I saw an article online from my home county, Highlands County, and they're going to the same thing we are. They're trying to pass a half-cent sales tax for education. It has failed twice, and they're trying to do it a third time. Now, their situation is, you can read the article, and it's almost like you can replace Highlands County with Stanley County, and it'd be the same. They talk about older buildings that are having problems. They just need repairs and stuff like that. But they have about 12,000 students in 17 schools. We have about 8,000 school students in 21 schools. So I hope they pass their half-cent sales tax down there, and I hope we do also. Part of that article talks about what we have up here. You start to get an aging population, and they're worried about their tax dollars, and they're not as easily swayed. Their kids are out of school to, pass the tax toward education. So we have a ways to go. And I just want to know if, real quick, get an update, because I've been asked. I know the school board has asked if Dr. Mills and Dr. Griffin can meet with Andy, Lucas County Manager, and Scott Eford, our chairman. I don't know if y'all have any meetings set up, or if perhaps it'll be done before our retreat, because to stave off closings, they're going to come and see if we can pony up the money somehow. So it'd be interesting to see, if you guys have a meeting schedule. Have you all have a meeting schedule yet, or has it been?
We're working on it. Trying to meet this week.
And like I said, hopefully I was just going to say, hopefully y'all could have that meeting before we get into the retreat, because funding education is very, very important. And the school board has been working on, this plan for a while now, and they've been pretty specific with it. And one thing that I do like about the plan is that it better educates our kids and gives us a more a more efficient system. So, and when the demographer was there the other day and they talked about coming to us for money, part of the problem is just the number of kids that they have in the high schools. And so I think it was Mitzi Almond who asked, so we're going to ask the county commissioners for money to fund extra teachers so they could teach classes with only 5 kids in them. So that's what they're going to come to us for. So we need to really have a serious talk about education, hopefully at our retreat on the 13th.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Dennis? No comment. Vice Chair Lawhon?
I attended the Rocky River RPO meeting the last part of January, and during the meeting we were informed that the 4-laning project of Highway 24, 27, 73, that it would be, the letting of the project would be delayed 12 to 18 months, which will give them time to do a study on rehabilitating the old arch bridge. There was a group that was trying to take over the bridge and maintain it, but that's not going to happen because they could not post a bond. So the state has to do this study. There's a similar bridge to the one that we have down on Lake Tillery. It's in Tennessee that has very similar architectural look, and they widened that bridge and rehabilitated it. So this study is going to determine whether or not the cost would be beneficial to widen and refurbish the bridge, and the bridge determination will come from that study. What this means is that the project, instead of being let in the latter part of 2019, has been moved up. I asked the question, after the project's let, how long will it take to complete? And they said the project of 4-laning 24, 27, 73 should be completed sometime in 2022 to 2023, which is a little bit longer than originally planned. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Louder. Commissioner McIntyre.
Thank you, sir. I do have some comments. The first comment would be to on the issue of our chair and county manager meeting with the school board chair and superintendent. 2 things. First of all, I think that meeting would not accomplish anything because our chair could not commit to anything because we haven't had a meeting to discuss what we might do, and I think that's appropriate for our retreat. Also, the second thing on that is no disrespect to our chairman, but I think he should excuse himself from that meeting if it should happen and allow the the vice chair to fill in regarding Chairman Scott's relationship with the superintendent, and that's my comment on that. I have some other comments. Will apologize for reading, but I usually don't read my comments, but just want to make sure I don't leave anything out. I am truly concerned about the school board considering closing schools. The closing of schools will affect many factions in our county: economic development, social interaction, but most importantly, the education of all of the students in our system. All this disruption is supposed to be a cure-all for 3 low-performing schools. It has been my experience throughout over 30 years of Stanley County school system that whenever test scores declined, there was always assistance from central administration to help toward improvement in student achievement. Last year, at a joint meeting of the school board and the county commissioners to discuss their plans, I asked the question, what have you done to help improve achievement at Albemarle High School? The answer was, we contacted State Department of Public Instruction. Shame on me, I failed to ask, what were the results? I'm asking that question now. What were the results of contacting DPI? Recently, I read an article in the newspaper that Alamance County, which is the first in the state, was taking advantage of state legislation that allows DPI to assist low-performing schools. They can provide personnel to team with principals, teachers, and central office staff to come up with a plan to address the situation. Also, DPI can allow the schools to operate similar to a charter school by lifting some restrictions such as how funds, personnel, and other resources are allocated. Now I ask this question. Did the Stanley County Schools Administration know about this legislation? Did the school board members know about this legislation? Did they even ask for help? If not, shame on you. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Burleson.
No comment.
Thanks, sir. Andy? Jenny?
No, sir, thank you.
At this time, we need to go into a closed session to discuss a real estate transaction in accordance with General Statute 143-318-11A-5.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
I have a motion. Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, please.